The HP Reverb. High resolution display, not too expensive, a lot of promises, but is it enough? We're going to see it right now. So, the HP Reverb comes in two versions, and one is the Pro version and one is the consumer version. It is a $50 difference, and the Pro version has like an additional display port, so you can connect it to your backpack PC, and there's also like a little ladder cover like we have here on this Rift, so it's easier to clean. If you look at it design-wise, it pretty much looks like a Rift, and it has like two front cameras on the front of the VR goggles. But like the head strap mechanic looks pretty similar to this one, where you can like loosen the strap and strap it together with also the audio system, and also the back is very similar. So yeah, let's get to the interesting part. Let's get to the specs. So let's get to the display first, because it was one of the most interesting parts about this headset. Because the resolution is very high, with 2 x 2160 x 2160. And if you compare it to other VR glasses, this is a really high resolution. The technology is also LCD, like the Rift S or the Valve Index, which seems like it's a trend like in 2019. The problem with LCDs is that they usually don't have really good blacks in their display. It seems like from the tests that I've seen that the Reverb doesn't really look too bad. The refresh rate of the goggles is 90 Hz. For a comparison, the Valve Index has 120 and the Rift S has a refresh rate of 80 Hz. The FOV isn't too big, it is 114. For example, the Valve Index has 130 and like a Vive has 110. From what I've heard is that the field of view actually doesn't feel too big, because it seems even smaller than it is. I haven't tried it out personally, but that's what I read online. It also doesn't have like a hardware IPD slider where you can like put in the distance between your eyes, but it has a software one, and if your eyes, like the distance between your eyes is between a plus or minus 8 millimeters from 63 millimeters, you should be fine with this headset. The specs look pretty great, and from the pics that I've seen, if you compare it to other VR glasses, it looks really promising. It looks a lot sharper, and the display is just very good, and it looks a lot sharper even than the Pimax 5K. At least that's what MRTV shows in his screenshots. And yeah, it sounds very good. I mean, what could possibly go wrong? Sadly, there is something that isn't really perfect, and it's an effect called Mura. This effect is actually kind of like cloudy effect, and it's mostly a problem with LCD displays if the backlight isn't really consistent throughout display, and it just feels like a little bit cloudy, or like a window that you have to clean because it isn't like 100% consistent or 100% clear. But I guess if you're inside a game and you're not looking at like a white, completely white or completely black surface, it won't be that bad. But it's something that is sad, because the display otherwise is really good. Like all the Windows mixed reality headset, it has an inside-out tracking with 2 front-facing cameras. It's actually 6 degrees of freedom tracking, and from what I've heard, it should work pretty well. Obviously, like a Rift S inside-out tracking is superior, because it actually has, I'm not even sure, like 5 or 6 cameras. So I'm pretty sure the HP Reverb can't compete with that. And you also can't compare it to like an outside-in tracking like the Lighthouse system, because you also have sensors, and it's even tracked when it's like behind your body or it's covered with something, so the camera can see it. And yeah, but from what I heard, it works out pretty well, and yeah, that's that. Controllers. All the Windows mixed reality headsets use the same controllers. Those are these are from the Acer headset, and they have all the basic functions like the grab thing right here, the trigger button, but they're lacking of buttons. Like the Rift have those A or B buttons, and it just has like this touchpad and this stick right here. But yeah, it's not as good as if you would have buttons like on the Oculus Rift, but yeah, it still works. And also the battery life is not so good because you actually need to have 2 AA batteries, and I think the battery life is only about 4 or 5 hours. So yeah, these are overall pretty kind of like mediocre, okay-ish controllers, but not as good as controllers from other headsets. The audio is pretty similar to the Oculus Rift. You can also adjust these over-ear headphones, and yeah, it's an integrated audio solution, but obviously you can also use a 3.5mm jack. So it also has a built-in mic, which works the same like the Oculus Rift or the HTC Vive. And yeah, that's about it about the audio. So you saw it, the resolution is pretty big. So what kind of monster PC you need to power this thing? If you look at the specs, you see that for a graphics card you need at least NVIDIA GTX 1080. You can also use a Quadro P5200 or an AMD Radeon Pro VX 8200. For the processor you need an Intel i7 or like Xeon E3 1240 V5 or obviously better or equivalent. For the RAM, you need at least 16 GB RAM, and you need 1 DisplayPort 1.3 and 1 USB 3.0. For the OS, you obviously need Windows 10 since it is a Windows mixed reality headset. Okay, so to the price and conclusion. So the whole package will be, I think, about $600 to $650 dollars. And I think this is a really good price since it has a really nice display with a high resolution, and also the colors and the blacks doesn't look as too bad for an LCD display. It's just sad as it has like this kind of mirror effect that kind of keeps us from saying like it's a really good display, but it obviously looks better than or sharper at least than other competitors like the Rift or the Vive or even a Pimax 5K from the screenshots that I saw. It's a really good build and it's comfortable. It has the same mechanics as the Rift, integrated audio. That's really cool. Obviously the tracking isn't as good as other systems with only inside out with 2 cameras, and also kind of like the controllers are kind of mediocre. So it's definitely a cool like headset for business application and also for enthusiasts that just want to have those crisp clear images. And yeah, I think for $600 that's a reasonable price point. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video, and tune in next time for other VR related stuff or game reviews. And yeah, see you next time. Bye guys.